Welcome, everyone. It's good to have you with us. We're in our third week of Parenting 101. And Karen, I think you have a big question that you want us to discuss today.
Yeah. Paul, what is your goal in parenting?
Oh, well, truthfully, it's to raise a bunch of kids who can take care of me and get me out fishing in my retirement and just take care of me. You know, how's that sound?
Not really what I meant. Truthfully, it's quite possible that if we ask 20 different people what their goal in parenting is, we would get almost as many different answers. One might be to raise their kids to move out. Another might say their goal is to teach their kids to be contributing members of society. Someone might say their goal is to teach their kids how to live debt-free.
Well, those are all good things. So what about you?
Sometimes I honestly think my goal is for us all just to survive the day.
Yeah, I get that. Well, ultimately, our goal determines our course of action. Whatever we value or hold as our goal will determine our path and the choices we make. So before we go any further, here's an opening question or two for you to discuss. Push pause, discuss those questions, and then come back. Okay, let's look at what the Apostle Paul shares as a good answer to this question. It's in 1 Corinthians 14:1, and it says, "Let love be your highest goal." What might our parenting look like if love was our highest goal? Well, let's look back to the previous chapter. It's 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter, for a glimpse. If I could speak of all the languages of earth and of angels, but didn't love others, I would only be a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I had the gift of prophecy, and if I understood all of God's secret plans and possessed all the knowledge, and if I had such faith that I could move mountains, but didn't love others, I would be nothing. If I gave everything I have to the poor and even sacrificed my body, I could boast about it. But if I didn't love others, I would have gained nothing.
I love that first verse. You can have all sorts of amazing things to say, but if you don't say them in love, you may as well forget it. Remember the teachers on the old Charlie Brown cartoons? Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
I imagine that's sometimes what our kids hear. You might have really great advice for your kids, but in that moment, if your motivation seems to be self-focused, or if your children are not feeling loved, you may as well be saying, wah, 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 wah.
Well, what about verses 2 and 3? You can look like a super Christian. You can have lots of faith. You can be a life group leader or sit on the church board or even volunteer in the nursery. But your motivation for doing those things needs to be love. Same thing goes for us as parents. You can look like a super parent. Your kids can be well-groomed, well-dressed, and well-mannered. But is your motivation in doing these things your love for your kids or your own image?
Wow. Let's talk about that for a few minutes. Pause the video again and come back afterwards. Let's move into verse 4.
Ooh.
It says, "Love is patient and kind." When our oldest 3 kids were 6, 4, and 2, God really convicted me about my yelling. No one likes to be yelled at, and yelling certainly does not communicate love. This passage tells us that love is patient and kind. That means that as a parent or in any relationship, I display my love by my patience and my kindness. For me, this means that when my kids are wearing on my nerves, or when Daniel is seeking attention and being naughty in the process, I have to stop myself, take a breath, and ask myself, how can I love him right now? Sometimes that means that I reach out with a hug and kindness rather than with sternness and a lecture. We need to remember, especially with young children, that we are getting angry at our children for not living up to our expectations, when oftentimes our expectations are not really developmentally appropriate. So be patient, take a step back, and think about how you can love your child by sharing kindness.
Well, you're certainly better at that one than I am, but I'm trying and I'm getting better. Well, here's the next part of what love is, or should I say what love is not. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. Can you take this one and I'll take the next one?
No.
Okay. Well, this one's not easy, but then again, none of this is really. This part of the passage is all about selfishness versus selflessness. It's either being all about me or about my kids or someone else. If you, Karen, are up at the church doing a women's retreat or something and there's a good football game on that I really want to watch, but Valerie has to go to Dan's class or Daniel wants me to play in the sandbox, this one calls me to sacrifice out of my love. To not be about myself. It's great to set my kids to all liking football, but that doesn't happen too often. So if I'm jealous, it's because they are getting what they want instead of me getting what I want. If I'm boastful or proud or rude, it is me acting out of my selfishness and being grumpy at them because I'm not getting what I want. This is so hard. It just is. But if I really love them, if I'm willing to sacrifice and love them, no matter what it is, truthfully, it only happens if God is helping me. Then, as I love them with a godly love, it can be a blessing both to them and to me. That's what love can do.
For sure. The passage goes on to say, it is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. Have you ever known someone who keeps track of every negative thing or fault of others?
Yeah.
You feel like you're walking on eggshells when you're around them because you don't want to add to their list of all the ways that Karen has messed up.
Yeah.
Collecting the wrongs of others and storing them in our memory does no one any good. Love keeps no record of wrongs. That means love forgives quickly and often. When our children make mistakes or wrong us in some way, we have a choice to get grumpy and hold that wrong over their heads or to act in love and forgive them.
Now, does this apply to me too?
Yes, of course. You should forgive me quickly and often.
Oh, but honey, you never do anything wrong. Then the passage continues into an interesting part. It says this, it does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. This is basically saying that we love our kids by keeping them focused upon right instead of wrong. For instance, all of us want our kids to be successful. We want them to do well. Some of us put an enormous amount of pressure on our kids to achieve, whether it be in school or in sports or in the workplace. Unfortunately, this has created a win-at-all-costs atmosphere in our society. Cheating is often overlooked, whether in the classroom, the workplace, or on the playing field. But love rejoices in the truth. As parents, we need to teach our kids that honesty is more important than the win, or should I say the grade? A grade of a B or a C received because a person worked hard is better than an A, which was arrived at by cheating. We celebrate the hard work, not the grade. Karen, how does this section conclude?
Verse 7 says, love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. I have heard stories of moms who have walked out on their husband and children. They just plain quit being a mom. Now, we have 4 really great kids, but one of them is what I'd call high needs. In other words, there are days when I get none of my work done because 100% of my day has been spent giving attention to one child.
Yeah.
So if I am honest, there are days that I would like to lock myself in the bedroom and hang a sign on the door that says, Mom is not here. I'm just spent and I feel like I have nothing left to give to anyone. But love does not give up. Love perseveres even when it is hard. And love is hopeful that all my energies and time are going to help this little boy grow up into a man that will change the world. Because I love my son, I endure the difficult and draining moments of being his mommy, even when he is giving me a run for my money.
Yeah.
And I have faith that God will give me the strength and energy I need to keep up with him. Ultimately, it all boils down to love. In every interaction we have with our children, love should be our highest goal. I can only imagine how it would change a generation of children if every parent made love their goal in parenting.
Yeah.
Conclude your time together with these questions.